Are you ready for the Low Blows Network? Spoilers, much like winter for so long, they're coming. And ladies and gentlemen, Game of Low Blows, much like winter, is here. For 6 long weeks we put the Low Blows flagship on hold to parse through the long night of Westeros, because how can you focus on Queen versus King when you've got Queen versus the fucking Night King to take care of? And now our watch begins with episode 1 of the final season of this epic Song and Fire, Winterfell, where, as all of our heroes reconvene at Winterfell, Jon continues his streak of riding dragons and discovers the truth about his parentage. Sam breaks our hearts when he learns about his own family's fate. Arya reunites with Jon, the Hound, and Gendry. Tormund and the crew get the shit scared out of them by the Humber Kid as a message from the Night King. Jaime arrives only to be met in a Totaki Momo by the kid he threw out of a window all those years ago. Meanwhile, in King's Landing, Euron gets his hole, Cersei doesn't get her elephants but sends Bronn on a mission to kill Tyrion and Jaime, while Theon finally finds his balls and rescues Yara. That was the week that was in Game of Thrones, but look, let's face it, you all know that already, so we're not going to recap the episode, we're just going to get to chatting about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host Rick Nash. Joining me this week, well, of course, the usual Low Blows crew. First up, we got the Queen of Irish Wrestling, Katey Harvey. Katey, how does it feel to be up to date? You don't have to avoid spoilers anymore.
I know, it's so much fun actually talking to people about theories that I'm not like half guessing. Remember the mental theories I had in season 1? Yeah. Remember how like I thought Robb Stark was making it to the end?
That was one of my favourite moments in the whole time. I don't know if she told you, but we did it with, for anyone who doesn't listen to Aslo Blows as well, Katey was a big Robb Stark guy, and on this particular taping of Aslo Blows, it was like season 3, episode 8 she was on, and she's like, just tell me Robb makes it to the end, and I'm like, you can relax about Robb. The next episode, I think we got a text in the Low Blows group going, you're dead to me. It was amazing. Corbett Keane, you're kind of a more casual Game of Thrones fan. How are you finding it? Do you know the names yet? Like, how are you getting on?
I didn't realise that the 2 men burned alive were Sam's family. I only found out at the same time Sam did. I was like, oh, no way. I wondered why they like focus so much on these 2 people getting burned alive. I was like, what's so special about them? And it took me like 2 years to realise, oh, right, it's family. So yeah, besides that, it was good, yeah.
This is the tone for what Keane is going to bring to this show, basically. It's going to be, beforehand we were having a chat about it, and we were like, oh, the Battle of Winterfell's coming up, and Keane, what did you say?
Who's going to be fighting?
It's not like the living and the dead. The whole story's been building up to it, like.
Yeah, but I would assume that would be like the last episode. Do you know what I mean? Who's going to fight before then?
The dead, the living and the dead. That's what's happening. It's right. Confirmed.
But I said this already, right? But if the dead lose, then you know what do you do then until the end of the show? And if the living lose, and it's just the dead that's around, then what do you do till the end of the show?
It's scripted. Oh my god, do you not know that this isn't real? Okay, I try not to say it to you every week on Low Blows, but this isn't real. This is scripted. They're in control of what happens.
We're not Keen Fabe Game of Thrones.
No, we're not.
It's not happening.
How do they know to plan 6 episodes when they don't know who's going to die? And ladies and gentlemen, our very special guest joining us this week. She is a woke queen and the Irish Junior Heavyweight Champion with the one and only Valkyrie.
Hey.
Valkyrie, you're a Game of Thrones super fan.
Yeah.
When this show was announced, Valkyrie's like, Game of Thrones, I'm in. When are we doing Game of Thrones? When are we doing? So give us your origin story with Game of Thrones. Like, have you been kind of following it from the start, or did you have to binge midway through, or have you read the books? What's kind of your deal with Game of Thrones? Because we all have, like, interest in kind of
I read
stories.
the first book after being into the series, but, like, I found the books is way too taxing.
Yeah.
So I'm more of the series fan. I'm actually really, really bitter towards people like Katey, because... Like, people who just kind of got into it building up to the hype for the last season. Like, No, you need to go do your 580-day wait like the rest of us. That's just not fair.
It's not.
I feel like the ones who've seen Winter already, and you summer children.
Yeah, that's fair. So you've been following it like since early on. Where are your kind of leanings? Like, give us like who'd be your fave? Who do you like? Who do you dislike? What it kind of be? Just so we get a tone for your taste, because we've discussed it a lot in the show over the past few weeks.
Okay. Favorite character probably Arya, Tyrion, Bronn. Probably the standard usuals that like everyone's favourites kind of thing.
Yeah, we get I think we did on Ask Low Blows every couple of weeks on Ask Low Blows since Game of Thrones is coming up. People send us in Irish wrestlers as Game of Thrones characters, and I think in one of the 17 times we've answered that question. I think you're Arya every single time. So there you go. But also as well, a funny story. You've kind of helped introduce Katey into the world of Game of Thrones as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Because when she broke her arms, I literally went to her house. I was like, put it on, and made her watch it. So.
Apparently, I understand that you've been keeping a record of some of the stupid stuff Katey, because this show is, if you haven't figured out by now, this show is basically just an excuse to embarrass Katey, whether it's wrestling or Game of Thrones. That's what we do. So you kept like a list of, say, like stupid things Katey said while watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah, not all to do with Game of Thrones, mostly just like I'd go out and as we'd be watching the episodes,
right,
I'd just write down things Katey said.
Katey's looking very nervous right now.
So we put up a tweet, and it was Katey, like, with the first episode of Game of Thrones, the theme music playing, and she was, like, swaying her broken arms in the cast to the music. Yeah. And that tweet, like, blew up. So the first thing I wrote down was, it took breaking both my arms to get over on Twitter. That was the first one. Then there was so much rape, and we're only on episode 2. Not sure, I don't remember where the context came from, but if you diddle kids, I'm not interested in your art.
Katey, do you remember that?
I think that was a Michael Jackson one. That Neverland might have come on in the midst of this. I think it was something to do with Michael Jackson.
Then there was John Cena had elbow surgery. I am John Cena now.
I was really high on painkillers for a lot of this.
This is news to Katey.
Oh, I got soup on my tracksuit bottoms again.
I just drink soup through a straw.
And then, you know how you were saying when Katey was really hoping that Robb Stark would make it to the end?
Yeah.
Like, I hope he makes it. We were on episode 3, and she said, has this bitch still not crossed the narrow sea?
Took her a long time.
7 seasons later. Little did Katey know it would take that long.
She also live tweeted me watching Ned Stark getting killed to Phil.
Nice.
The two of them, like, just message each other all day about my reactions.
Like,
brilliant.
And this is when my arms were properly broken, couldn't move them in cast. So I had a wooden spoon with a fork sellotaped to the top of it, because it's the only way I could scratch or eat or like anything. And like I literally just stood there clutching my giant like spork, like just rocking back and forwards, nearly in tears. He gets his head chopped off. The episode ends and the next one starts automatically because we're watching it on DVD.
Right.
I just freak out. I'm, Eva, for fuck's sake, just turn it off. I need to process all my feelings.
I need to grieve.
Like the DVD naturally just rolls into the next episode, and she was like, "Do you mind? I need to process."
Oh, brilliant! Look, this is great, and it's a pleasure to have you as well. Can't wait to hear some of your theories. So, look, we'll get on to the episode in question, guys. So, what were kind of some of the moments that we liked from this episode, Winterfell in particular? What were some of the things that you enjoyed most?
I thought the episode was a really good bring you back in episode. So I really loved the start of it. Because you know the way it started off with like the Umber boy like climbing a tree.
Yeah.
And like you notice that the like Khaleesi's armies are coming back in, and it just took me straight back to when like Bran running around climbing, and Arya puts that helmet on because she sees the Queen, and the Queen and her company are coming in, and now it's like so weird. It's like, oh, so much has happened now that the whole army is coming in, and this little kid is the same thing climbing up the tree.
Yeah.
It just took me right back to season 1. I was like, so much has happened.
There's so many parallels, actually. I made a note of the parallels from season 1 because, like, you know, there's a few that we picked up on, and then like you go on Reddit and all this kind of stuff, and then get like the get the, like, I don't know, I consider myself a Game of Thrones weirdo, but there's some super weirdos out there who, like, notice this happened 35 seconds into, like, episode 17, you know what I mean? So some of the parallels, it has the same music as in episode 1 when Rob and Cersei were coming in. It has the same music as Dany and Jon. Jamie arriving, of course, and first thing he sees is Bran. The White Walker design, do you remember the design that was around the Umber Kid? That's the exact same design that they found, and there was, like, they found the body, I think it was of a child as well, of one of the wildlings. In episode 1 as well, so it's mad. You had the kid climbing, of course, you mentioned. We shall join our houses. Robert Baratheon turn around to Ned, and then you have Arya and Gendry flirting, which is an interesting one, and I think a lot of people are shipping them at the moment. The crypt scene, of course, you had Robert going down seeing Lyanna, of course, that was a pretty big deal, Lyanna was in this episode. You had Jon getting told about his mother. You had Needle, that Needle was born in episode 1. And then, of course, ending with Jamie and Bran. So, like, yeah, I love the parallels. Like, straight away, you're just like, oh, this is connected. Like, this is why it annoys me when people are like, it's all just filler. It's like, it's not. It's, like, literally mirroring the first episode.
Those people. Those people don't deserve to watch Game of Thrones.
Yes. These are the best episodes, though, right? When they're just talking.
Well, they really are. It's how they do it. Like, it's so clever. It's not like, oh... It's because you kind of forget that some of the characters haven't seen each other for so long, and it's not, they don't say it verbally, but it's like, when Jon Snow asked Arya, it's like, oh, have you used it about Needle? And
yeah.
Like, oh, last time he was giving her the sword, and she was just going to King's Landing and didn't want to be a lady.
Yeah.
Now she's like assassin.
yeah, and she's like,
stuff like that was
once or twice, like, I've used it. Yeah, it's like, all right, she's literally a professional murderer now as well. But like to Jon, that's just his cute little sister. Like, I loved all that stuff. Katey, what were some of your highlights? What did you enjoy from this episode?
I enjoyed the entire awkwardness of Jon bringing Daenerys to Winterfell. You know, like when you bring home like a boyfriend or girlfriend, you're just trying to settle them in with your mates and all. It's not really going that well. And like Lyanna Mormont fucking roasting Jon as well in that board scene's like, when you left here, you were a king. What are you now, a lord? I don't know. What do I call you? And I'm just like, the shade off this 10-year-old, like, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And just the whole iciness between like Sansa and Daenerys. It's like, oh, what do dragons even eat? Anything they want. And I'm like, I am here for this shadiness. Like,
yeah.
I just love the whole awkwardness that no one likes Daenerys, but no one wants to tell Jon they don't like his new girlfriend.
It's all like, yeah, Jon, you're really sound, but a bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
And like, I thought Daenerys personally, I thought she was really nice, like, for the most part. When, like, I thought this was a good Daenerys. There's a lot of Daenerys smiling, like.
Yeah, but like, it's fake. I hate her anyway. Like,
oh, really?
I don't like Daenerys.
Okay.
All right, calm down, Aoife. Yeah, I don't like her. I think she's sly, and I don't think she's going to be a good queen, and I'm not into her at all. So like, I'm like Jon's mates who are like, as soon as they break up, I'm going to drag this bitch. Like,
is this like, I don't know, is this a like girl code thing? Like, because Sansa as well is kind of taking the same tack, and she doesn't really have much of a reason not to. Like, I understand the political elements and stuff like that, but she doesn't have a reason to be bitchy as far as I can see. Is it just like she just gives off a vibe?
She's literally came and taken Winterfell though.
Yeah.
Like, that's Sansa's home. Like, she's the lady of Winterfell, and now she has to be like, this is yours, my grace. You know, it's her heritage, it's her home, and she's just swanned in. And then when she said that thing to Jon where she's just like, oh, you know, I don't think your sister likes me, but if she doesn't respect me, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to kill her? Like, Jesus Christ, that's his sister. Like...
It's not a great first impression with the family.
No,
like,
not at all.
It's not like, if they don't respect me, I will kill them. It's like, you know, give it time. Like, you know what I mean? Ease your way in. Like,
and like, Sansa's thinking practically, how is she going to feed these dragons? How is she going to feed all these men? Like, she's trying to look after her little patch of turf, and these are just kind of swanning in. Like,
yeah, that's right. No, I'm kind of getting it a bit more. Although I did think Daenerys was kind of nice herself. She seemed happy. Like, even when she's off with Jon and just doing their whole, like, a whole new world dragon ride.
But then it's things like where she's telling Sam about his family, right? And she's like all smiling, like, oh, you saved my best friend Jorah. And then it's like, oh God, I've just realised I've killed your family. And it's like, you know, when you've taken a screenshot.
I hate when that happens.
Well, like, you know when you've taken a screenshot on, like, someone's message and then sent it back to the person you were screenshotting instead of the person you want to see the screenshot? Yeah. That's what it felt like. You know? She was the person who took the screenshot and sent it back to the wrong person.
Yeah. Yeah. As well, when he was like, what was he saying? He was like, oh, well, at least I can hang out with my brother. And she's like, I would have loved it. They kept that going where it's like, like, well, my sisters and me always got on. Nah, only answer is something. Nah, they're grand. Cian, what did you enjoy?
I thought the kid who was dead and then came back to life was mad. That scared the shit out of me, man. I still didn't even know who he was, but it was like, mad scary though. Because I didn't see it coming. I was like, oh man, he's dead. I'm mad. And he came back out and I was like, whoa.
I love that. That was so perfectly shot as well. Like, because I was watching it back on Monday, right? And like the way they shot that was absolute genius, right? Because they had the kid out of focus in the background, but they had the two of them were centered. So you were still looking at the kid. And then like there's that moment where Torment's like, I don't know what to do. And he's just being Torment. And then you just see the kid's eyes open in the background. That's scarier than when he started screaming for me. Because it's just like, what the fuck? It was absolutely genius. Yeah, I love that scene. As well, like, what do we think the symbols? They keep sending them symbols. Like, there's something. The symbols I think have appeared before. The children of the forest. Remember, Jon was showing Daenerys the cave, and he's like, "Oh, they work together." And then it's like, as a family, they work together, the humans and the children. I don't know.
Is that a Jon impersonation?
I can't do it. No, my only Jon impersonation I can do is, I've seen the Night's King Davos. I've looked into his eyes.
What is that?
That's my Jon. You knew Jon. Do a better Jon impression.
I can't.
But when he's like that, you have to talk in the voices. I'm raising the little fingers gone. Every time Littlefinger was like, oh, Sansa. Oh, we got the Knights in the Vale. I love doing Littlefinger. I'm raising he's dead for that reason alone. Like, or you do Littlefinger, like, his first accent in season 1 to accent in season 7. He's like, hello, Catelyn, how are you? And now I talk like this. So it's like, what changed? Why do you whisper now?
Do you think Littlefinger's dead?
They got his throat sliced open. So.
But was that him, or did he pay someone off to be like a faceless man?
Yeah, there is a theory out there. He's like up there in the betting for who's going to sit on the Iron Throne. Like, he is surprisingly high.
Me.
Yeah. I don't think that's a spoiler, because I think it's based off the theory getting popular. I don't think we're giving away too much. But yeah, there's a theory that he's a faceless man, and he figured out, because there's a scene, I think, when he's in Winterfell where he gives one of the girls like a coin, and you don't know why he gives it to her. And remember, of course, Arya, to get into the House of Black and White in Bravos, had to give a coin and say Vala or whatever she had to say. I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. But that's how she got in. So there's speculation that Littlefinger paid his way in. So I don't know.
That'd be mad.
Do you think that?
Yeah, I think he's way smarter than, like, I'm not saying like I'm a fan of him or anything, but he seemed way too smart to just get his throat slit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I really hope
he got beaten by his own game, though. That was the whole thing.
That went over my head.
That's going to be a little catchphrase for these 6 weeks, I have a feeling. I love the humour there was in this show, where it was like, he's got blue eyes! I've always had blue eyes! I love the way they took time in the first episode to come back, or Cersei being obsessed with the elephants. I love the way, like, even when they initially said there's not going to be elephants, then you come back after she's done the dirty with Euron, and then straight away she's like, I really wanted them elephants. Love the way they made time for that as well. Funniest moment of the episode for me, though, was when Bronn was in he was in with the whores, and then, like, as they're leaving for Qyburn, it's like, the pox will take her within the year. Which one? It was amazing. But what do we think of Jaime and Bran getting back together? How do you think that's going to play out? That's going to be weird. It was a really awkward moment. Did you notice as well, Bran, I'm waiting for an old friend? He was obviously talking about Jaime. So that's who he was talking about. Like, there's speculation out there that I don't know, I hate this, I don't think it's the truth, that like Bran is the three-eyed raven, and the three-eyed raven used to be friends with Azor Ahai, who's the prince that was promised, and there's speculation out there like 1,000 years ago or something, but like I don't think that's what it was. I think it was just because Jaime pushed him out of a window. What do we think of the reunion? How do you think that's going to go down? Do you think Bran's even going to care at this stage?
It's really, when Jaime did that, it was season 1 and he was the bad guy in season 1, so obviously he's had loads of character development throughout that, but we found out the thing about when Jaime stabbed the Mad King, yeah. It wasn't actually, he did it with good reason, and it was never like stabbing him in the back like a bad guy. So he's had this whole revelations where he was actually kind of good the whole time. He was always, but then you take him back and he did just go, oh, the things I do for love, and shove a 10-year-old out the window. So I don't know if he's, all this character stuff is like he's changed and he's good now, or is it just like he's still, because he did just do that villainously. Yeah. So I find it really hard to kind of see Jaime as the good guy, but it's like, oh yeah, he's, you know, we all have a 10-year-old out the window.
Who among us hasn't pushed a 10-year-old out the window?
I don't know if he's looking at Bran at the closing scene feeling guilty, or going like, oh crap, I'm going to have to, and it's kind of just a hint for everyone's going to hate Jaime and he's trying to be on their side now. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
It's going to be weird as well. Like, and Jaime, like, Tyrion's the one who can talk his way out of situations. Jaime's just very, like, blunt force. Like, he's, I don't know, it's going to be weird next week. And it looks like we're getting kind of a trial or something like that, if you believe the episode teaser for next week. So it's going to be interesting. So another bit I had to say I loved from the episode. Alright, I wasn't mad on the A Whole New World sequence.
That scene was pure fan service and I loved it.
Okay, fair enough.
Jon Snow riding a dragon, it was class.
I did like that, but like, did you like, I kind of expected a bit more, like, from that. Like, I was kind of like, this should be an important moment, or it should be something where Daenerys is like, get on, go on, get on, see if you can see what you can do. I don't know, like, there's a lot of people saying they weren't mad about this. What's kind of the counterpoint to it?
I think it's like, this is kind of all the happiness. They want to show you what you're fighting for. It's like, can you mention things like the Lord of the Rings, where they have all that, like the 45-minute start scene in the Shire, because it's all for the rest of the movies when it all goes to hell and they're all at war. It's like, this is what they're fighting for. Yeah, it's the happiness part.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like, yeah, and I liked that as well. I'm like, I want to spend time with these people.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love seeing Jon and them together, the ultimate power couple, riding the dragons. It's like the ultimate form of happiness. Like, this is what can be if they win. Yeah. Just the perfect Targaryen couple, like, ruling over. One is just, one has a little bit too much fire, but together they're the perfect.
Yeah, that's the Song of Ice and Fire. There you go. So, but I did like how when they went off to the caves, of course, there was the throwback to Agreed as well. We could stay here forever in the caves.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that.
It was, although, like, if you're Jon, it's like, don't say that. You know what I mean? You know, and like, someone you're, like, if you're seeing someone and they say something your ex said to you, it's just like, no, don't go there. That's weird. But also as well, then they cut to the dragons, and the dragons, like, I don't know, are the dragons cooks? They're just there like, and I'm like, is that you saying you enjoy it or don't touch her? I don't know what's going on here. That was a bit icy. But then of course you had the revelation of Jon and Sam as well. Like, for me, I think Sam crying was not the high point of the episode. That sounds like a horrible thing to say, but like, I think his acting there was kind of the best acting in the episode when obviously he was told about it. So I don't think anyone expected, for anyone moaning, by the way, on Twitter, like, oh, filler, this, that, the other, like, name for me the part where you thought Sam is going to try turn Jon on Daenerys. No one called that, even though, like, the pieces were all there. Daenerys did kill his family, like, so we could have seen it coming, but no one saw it coming. So that was excellent. I didn't see that coming. How do we think the Jon Daenerys thing? They seem to be setting up tension there, like, where the two of them could be adversaries. And
they should be, because, like, she's a horrible person.
There you go.
No, but like, he's a good person. And he's still a Stark blood. So at the crux of it, the Starks are good people. Yeah. And like, she's not. Like, I know Tyrion said, like, oh, I'm there to control her worst impulses. And I'm like, well, it's not really a sign of a good leader to have impulses that cruel. Like, killing Sam's family, like, that genuinely made my stomach turn. Like, I was so uncomfortable during that, especially with the brother as well, you know. And it's because she's always preached before, like, oh, you know, don't hold me accountable for the sins of my father. Well, you've literally just done that. You've literally just burned a man's son because he didn't want to bend the knee to you. And I'm going to find it really interesting when she finds out that Jon has a better claim to the throne than her. Yeah. How she's going to take it. Yeah. You know? Because, like, she's just so dead set on, like, this is my right to sit on the throne. Like, are you going to turn on your own family because you feel it's your right, or are you going to turn your support? Like, what's she going to do?
Sam's question was perfect, where it's like, you give up your claim for the sake of the realm with she, and it's like, oh, you've got him there, like, of all things, like, especially when he's, like, just grieving his family literally minutes beforehand, and then he's coming out with zingers like that. Like, that's a big question. Do we think she will? Like, Daenerys, like, she is flawed, but ultimately she does tend to come out on the side of good in the end.
Like, I do believe she has good intentions and she thinks she's doing the right thing. But, like, even going back to Marine and stuff, like, she made a lot of dodgy decisions there. Like, do you remember the scene where after she crucified all the masters, and then one of their sons came in and was like, one of them was my father, he was a good man, he was actually on your side. And it's just like, sometimes she just takes such a rash decision without thinking of it. Like, you know, it's not a great sign of a ruler.
She's got, like, she does have the Targaryen hot head, and, like, I suppose centuries of inbreeding will do that to a family. Yeah. So, like, you know, but, like, at the same time, it's no real excuse. She is more than intelligent. And, look, when you look at burning Sam's family, like, as well, she can't claim ignorance. She can't claim that was a mistake. She had her hand right there pleading with her. Don't do this. Send them to the wall. Do this. Do that. You don't need to do it. Like, so, like, and she still went ahead with it. So she can't really claim ignorance there. She's kind of fallen on her own sword. But do we want to see Jon versus Dany? Is that so? So Jon is the main guy. I'm Jon. That's Jon. And Dany is the blonde-haired princess.
Okay. That much of kind of, I mean, the Jon impersonation kind of threw me off a little bit. But I think that's what you're talking about.
Do you want to see Jon versus Dany? Is that something?
Yeah, go on. Why not? Go on.
Dragon versus dragon?
Yeah, it'd be funny. Why not? I think Jon would kill her.
You think?
Being honest. Yeah, if they got to a scrap, like, it was 1v1, I think Jon would take her on. That's what I think. I don't know.
If it was 1v1, I don't think anyone would, but I think it's like going bigger dragon versus dragon.
No, but, like, yeah, I don't know, actually. Does he have a dragon?
See, this is the thing. Like, if you go by Game of Thrones lore, first off, only a Targaryen can ride a dragon. Which is weird that Daenerys didn't know that, because, like, she should be she's the only person in the world who owns dragons. She should probably know that, you know what I mean? If she's the only person in the world who owns dogs, like, she should know, don't feed them chocolate. She should know that, like, don't fucking let someone else try it on if they're not a Targaryen. So that was weird. But also, like, the showrunners have confirmed that that's the case as well. In dragon lore, at least in the books, the way it goes is that, like, the dragon, if a dragon lets you ride him, you're his for life. That's it. Or for the dragon rider's life anyway, because dragons will outlive the dragon rider most. So if the dragon rider dies, they can accept a new rider. But that's it. So did Dany just give away a dragon without even realizing it? Like, because even Jon, I think there was a scene. I was watching the Inside the Episode, and there was a scene that they cut where Jon said to Dany, where it's like, oh, it was like it was reading my mind and knew where it wanted to be. So there seems to be that kind of psychic connection already with Jon and Rhaegal. Now, we know that Jon is Rhaegar's son, so, like, yeah, he's gonna be the dragon rider, and it looks that way. But Dany might have given away a dragon here. So has she accidentally, like, do we now tip the favour in terms of Jon? Dany still has Unsullied and Dothraki. She still has a bigger army. So where would you kind of see this?
Jon's got Big Sam, though. So, for me, I have to go with Jon. So, that's where my money is.
Who do we want to, like, do you want to see Jon versus Dany, or?
No, I think that's going to be, like, an underlying theme.
Right.
Like, if you go back to the season 7 finale, and they had that meeting with the Queen to try and convince her to call her banners, because they all needed to join together to fight the dead. And then she says, right, well, I'll do it as long as you bend the knee to me. And Jon was, like, stood there, and he was like, no, I can't. I'm loyal to Daenerys Targaryen. And then Tyrion goes up to her and he's like, can you not just lie? Just once. Just tell one lie. And we could have just marched. And then he's like, I can't, because when we all lie so much, then words mean nothing. And he's like, okay, that is a problem. But the more immediate problem is we're fucked. But I think that scene is like, because Jon always knows what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that she's struggled with.
Yeah.
So now it's like, now that he actually has a more legitimate claim to the throne, and Sam is like, well, you gave up for honor or whatever for, like, can she? Now it's going to be like, the whole time, was she fighting for her natural birthright? Or since it's the Targaryens anyway, it would still be reinstating the right family as is she just after the power? Or can she actually set back as well?
Yeah, no, and look, they're talking about marriage. Like, it got brought up in this. Like, basically, the matchmakers, like, essentially, Davos, Varys, and Tyrion are essentially reduced to the Cilla Black role, where they're like, "Ooh, aren't they lovely? Ooh, imagine them getting married." I mean, like, that was their role in this episode. So it looks like there's a very easy way out of this. But the more immediate problem here is that they're auntie and nephew, which isn't necessarily a problem for Targaryens. They do have a history of inbreeding, but Jon's only learned he's a Targaryen and probably has his own opinions on that. So is that a goer, or how are they going to react? Like, Jon obviously knows now. It looks like we're getting a scene with Dany and Jon in the crypts next week. I don't know, though. So you would imagine that maybe Dany will find out next week. How are they going to react to that whole awkwardness? Or is it going to be like, we've done it already, like, we've already broken the seal, and we've all kind of liked it?
As you know, in the last episode of season 7, she says to him, I can't have children.
Yeah.
So I don't know, can they actually continue the line anyway, if they're together?
See, she believes that based off the witch's prophecy in season 1, when she lost her kid, of course. But we don't know if that's true. In the books, there seems to be evidence that, like, the exact phrase, George R. R. Martin can say shit creepy ways at times. Her womb is quickening. Katey's face. That's how George R. R. Martin put it, where maybe she could, but we don't know. So,
I'm completely backing Daenerys. I'm completely against Katey's opinions.
Okay, go for it.
As usual.
Go Team Daenerys
Very
then.
strong opinions against Sansa. I just think, like, Katey is all for Sansa. I just think, how can a person have gone through so much in a season and still be so unlikable? She's just always crying about something.
No, I agree with that. She's like my least favourite character. I hate Sansa.
She's so unlikable. And Ramsay was my absolute favourite character.
What?
I love Ramsay.
Okay,
I've actually been a closet Ramsay fan for ages, but I didn't want to say it because there was no other Ramsay fans around.
You two are like, do we just make best friends?
Yeah, like, Joffrey got all this credit and is like the face of being the bad guy in Game of Thrones. Ramsay is like, he's class.
Okay, let's clarify this. It's not that you're saying you agree with Ramsay's policies on a lot of things. You're saying he's a good heel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, I loved him so much as a character. And because, you know, the way you want to see him get beaten.
Yeah.
But when Sansa and just stared at him and had his dogs eat him, and it should have been such a moment. I should have got the same sort of pleasure there as I got when Cersei was forced to walk the streets naked, which is really weird. I enjoyed that. But
I don't think you were meant to.
You were. That was, like, more satisfying than seeing your favourite, like, bad guy get killed.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
She got torn down in the best way possible. But, like, no, Ramsay, I should have enjoyed that. But I was like, oh, Sansa, I want to see Sansa get burned more.
Really?
Yeah, like, oh no.
I'm gonna.
What's your problem with Daenerys? Like, she came in all smiles, like, "Hi, the North is beautiful," and Sansa's just icy bitch face.
Shade. Like she's just. You can't give a compliment and then expect to be like, "Oh my God, you said I'm pretty. Have my kingdom." Like, it doesn't work like that. And that's essentially what she was doing. Like, oh, I'll throw a few compliments away, and then I'll come in and fucking take everything she's worked so hard to get back. Because she's right. Like, she was the guiding force behind getting Winterfell back. Like, she pushed Jon into it.
That
like,
does not feel what it's about. That's like, oh, I think she's prettier than me. I think that's what that is. She just seems so icy. She's just so annoying.
That's what I was saying earlier. Whereas it's like, it's a bit of like just bitchiness rather than
it comes
actually.
Across that way.
Yeah. Now, having said that, I'll have your back on Sansa.
Yeah.
I think Sansa's finishing this on the Iron Throne. I think Jon and Dany.
That would be so anticlimactic.
I think Jon and Dany are dying. And I think Sansa is of the people. If Jon and Dany aren't in the game, and like, it'd be predictable, I think, if either of them ended up on it. Like, I think that's now. Sometimes predictable isn't bad. I won't necessarily shit on it if they do, but I think if Jon and Dany aren't on the Iron Throne, who among them, like, you talk about Dany wanting to break the wheel and change the way the system is. Tyrion's spoken about, like, oh, if you just have a line of succession, then you're just another king and queen like the rest of them. I think the way they break the wheel is with elections, and if we look at elections and we look at the main power players who are likely to survive at the end, Sansa's the only choice. Sansa is electable. She's learned how to rule. She's effective, like, even in the way she goes around Winterfell, like, whereas Jon's like, I'm going to go off on a dangerous escapade. Like, even when Daenerys was, like, talking about why she didn't like Jon and Jorah and Dario, and she's like, they're all heroes. I hate heroes. Like, I like someone who can just rule. That's Sansa, where she's like, do we have enough food? Do we have this? Do we have that? She's thinking about the practical side, whereas Jon's like, I'm going to fight all of the zombies. Jon's like a 7-year-old boy, like.
Yeah, like, I'm getting mixed up in my seasons. It's, the end of season 7 where they've gone beyond the wall and they're all on that little island and the White Walkers are coming in and, like, the dragons are there and, like, Jorah's like, Jon, hop on the dragon. He's like, oh, I just need to kill a few more of these. You kill 7 more, it's not going to make a difference the amount of them coming at you. But no, he had to just keep sword fighting there and hold everyone up and then make his dramatic fucking re-entry on a horse at the end.
He's like seeing it as a video game. He's like, no, I get an extra life if I kill 4 more. It's like, no, that's Jon. Whereas Sansa is like groomed to rule. She's learned from Cersei, but she's got morals. She's learned from the likes of Tyrion. She's learned from, like, the best minds in Westeros. She's got a chance to learn from, even in horrible circumstances. She's learned from Littlefinger as well. She can be devious and whatnot, but again, she has a conscience. So I think Sansa is finishing on the Iron Throne.
The only reason I can see Sansa going all the way is because I don't think it would be sad enough. They wouldn't see the point in killing her because it's not going to evoke that much emotion from people because she's so unlikable.
After all she's gone through.
After all she's gone through, I still just see Sansa as the reason Ned died because she wanted to become the princess.
Oh, well, all right.
I can't stop seeing her as the bitchy one from season 1.
You're just holding a grudge for that. Like, she's just never got past.
She's been beaten down, but she never redeemed herself. She's gone through a lot of stuff, but she hasn't given me any character trait to, like, latch onto and be like, yeah, I want to root for you. I just don't have any of that towards her. Whereas with Arya and everyone else, I'm like, I want to see you succeed. Sansa, it's like, oh no, just no.
Okay.
Problem causer.
She's getting massacred. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
How do you think? Predict Sansa's death right now.
This one.
Predict Sansa's death right now.
Bronn comes in. Done.
No, Bronn's having the most horrible first death in this season. He keeps talking about this castle that he's going to get and this wife he's going to get. It's not going to happen. Like, it's foreshadowing.
Bronn's ending in this on his own. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
No, this is going to end up him dying and then in Jaime's arms and Jaime saying, oh, I'm going to bury it in a castle, you know. Something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Bronn would be the perfect, like, fun-loving character who isn't kind of, like, really relevant to the story, that would kill and still get perfect, like, oh my god reaction. So I can't see that actually happening.
He's like kind of the holder, you know what I mean, where it's like, you don't necessarily matter, but we really like you and we don't want to see anything bad happen to you. So yeah, that is like, if you're talking like any of the episodes, like the next episode or episode 4 after the Battle of Winterfell, where it's like not crucial but you need an emotional kind of moment. Yeah, I could see this. How do we see that playing out then? If Bronn's going to go, then how do we see it with the mission? Do you think he's going to actually do the mission, or do you think he's going to turn on sides? Because obviously he was told he has to go and kill Tyrion and Jaime. They're his boys, like. So
what?
Did you watch the episode?
Yeah, you see, there was a thing with Bronn, but I didn't hear it.
Aoife, you weren't here. When we were chatting beforehand, Cian said something about Cersei's armies being in Winterfell, and we were like, what?
And I thought I was all the Lannisters.
He thought Jaime arriving was all the Lannisters arriving and completely had not listened or watched the scene where she told Jaime for about 5 minutes very explicitly that she was lying about going up north.
Yeah, I must have missed that part. But like, so why does he have to kill Tyrion and Jaime then?
Because Cersei hates them.
Because they abandoned Cersei, basically.
But does Bronn not hate Cersei?
In real life they do. They're exes.
Oh, yeah,
and they can't be on screen together.
I actually learned about that the other day. That's mad. But Why is he fighting for her? Or is she paying him?
Yeah.
He's
a sellsword. So now he's got to decide, is he just a sellsword, or is he going to be loyal to his mates?
Oh, no, he's staying loyal. Bron's staying loyal. It's going to be great.
But Tyrion has said multiple times in multiple seasons, no matter who pays you, I'll double it. So just go to Tyrion and be like, yeah, Cersei offered me this to kill you, so I'm your boy.
So he's got to give him 2 castles. This is interesting. Like, yeah.
Oh, the twin castles.
They're vacant.
Twin castles.
Oh my god, that could be how Bronn ends. Like, maybe Bronn's going to survive after all.
Yeah, I told you.
Holy shit.
Maybe he's going to have 2 wives and 2 castles.
You can have the twins. That's amazing. I think you're after figuring out something there. We're after hitting on something major. I love that. Guys, in terms of, like, that's what we liked from the episode, but in terms of anything we didn't like, anything that was really, like, annoying us.
I thought when Yara got captured and then just rescued, like, in the space of a 2-second scene, I just thought that was kind of thrown away. Like,
yeah.
I get it was meant to be Theon's redemption, but he just came in, fired a few crossbows, and was like, come on, we're going.
I do agree, and it was way too easy, but at the same time, so on the old Low Blow show, a lot of old school listeners will remember, we had a segment that we used to call Fuck Off Ryback, which was exactly what it sounds like. It was a segment where every week we tell Ryback to fuck off until eventually he did. I'm proposing for Game of Low Blows, we introduced a segment called Fuck Off Theon. Where
I love Theon.
What is wrong with you? I would your back over Sansa, man. What the fuck?
I feel so sorry for him.
Why?
He had his dick cut off.
Yeah, but, like, he did horrible things.
But, like, he suffered for them. Like, the way Ramsay broke him, like, he wasn't even human. He wasn't even human anyway. Aoife's swooning over Ramsay here.
It's like some bad boy. That's extreme, but okay.
Like, I find his story so interesting.
But, like, he turned on Rob.
I know.
He was Rob's childhood best friend.
I know.
And he turned on him. Let Rob think that he killed his 2 brothers.
I know, but, like, I still find... It's not even that I really like Tyrion, but I love his story arc.
Right.
I just think it's so interesting how he was that disgusting person and, like basically wasn't human for years, and now is slowly clawing it back piece by piece. And that scene with Rob where he was telling him, like, you're a Greyjoy and you're a Stark.
Oh, yeah.
That just shows how good, like, Jon is.
He's so weak though as well, where he's just like,
weak as baby shit.
He annoyed me, like, in that scene, because it's just like, Jon's got all this important business. Jon's going off to, like, fight the Night King. He's getting the armies together, and then Theon's just there, Jon, you've always known what to do. And it's just like, what are you talking to me for? Yeah, like,
but
you want forgiveness? Like, yeah, grand, whatever. I'm fighting the Night King, you fucking idiot. Like,
that's because he's the same as Jon. Like, he's lost. That's the whole thing with Theon. He's been lost his entire life because he's been torn between 2 families and not knowing who he is and where he stands. Yeah. Then he finds a little bit of it with Yara, and then he finds a little bit with the Starks, and he just doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, but, like, who cares? It's like, he's such a dick at the start that you're just like, I don't care, die at this thing. The only thing I'll say in defense of that, because I agree with what you're saying about the scene where he rescued Yara, but I was also like, they got it out of the way. They got it out of the way. I just didn't want a major Theon Yara storyline throughout.
I was kind of wondering
8.
what that was, because if there was a big massive thing there where you had to go rescue her, I would have been a little bit like, oh.
Imagine, like, the middle of the Battle of Winterfell, and it's just like, it's like the Night King is advancing on Jon, and it's like, no! And then it cuts to the Iron Islands, and it's like,
yeah, that's a good point.
The salt water is a bit dry today. It's like, fuck off, Theon! So that's the only positive I take from that, where I'm like, Grant, they got it out of the way, and then Yara's like, you want to go back and fight for the Starks? Grant, he's probably going to die, Grant. And, like, yeah, so do you want to see Theon make it through to the end?
Yeah, I do. No, maybe not make it, but I think he's coming back to sacrifice himself for the Starks as, like, a redemption act for everything he's done to the family.
Yeah.
Like,
though if Jaime's, like, comeback was awkward, Theon's just going to be, hey, I used to run this place. So like,
but imagine if the whole White Walker Stark thing comes true, and then there's just, like, Robb Stark heading for him White Walker style. I don't think that's going to happen, though.
The one thing that I did find really funny about Theon was when he was the leader and no one liked him, and he had like no respect off anyone. He's like, yeah, let's do this, and it's like, fuck off. So, like,
no. When he gave the big speech, and then everyone's like, yeah, and then like as soon as he turns around, they just go poof. And knock him out.
But that's it. Like, he's like the perennial underdog. Like, he just can't get. And like, even when he's trying to do the right thing to step aside and let his sister be queen because he knows like he's not good enough, and then Euron just comes along and he's like, fuck the both of you. Like,
yeah.
What do you think about Euron, by the way?
Disgusting pig.
Oh,
really?
I think he's killed.
There you go.
I love that bit where he was just so sleazy. Like, Cersei goes to walk off and she kind of gives him a look. It's like, come on then. And he just starts to laugh and he's like,
He's what Theon should be. He's what Theon should be, and he's not. So, you know, this is why I hope Theon dies.
I hated him up until this episode. I hated him all along. And then this episode, I'm like, he's kind of charismatic. We need someone who's just
so
going to be...
charismatic. How did you not get that from the start when he's like in Jaime's face, like, oh, finger in the ball?
I like, he has got some good lines. Like when he first meets Cersei in the throne room, and he's like, you know, just standing here with my two hands. And then Jaime's just like, what did you just say to me? But he can't say shit. So yeah, he's charismatic. And I think we need that now, because like the stakes are so high that it's like, no, we need someone who's just gonna fucking mess and like act the bollocks on screen and stuff like that. Even when he's like, how do I compare it to Jaime, like, and stuff like that in bed, like he's a dickhead, like.
He's so fucking cool though. Do you know what I mean? He's got like a cool like rock star look about him as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think he's deady.
Yeah, I don't hate him after this episode, I have to say.
So he killed his own brother, imprisoned his niece, bet the shit out of his nephew, but you can't forgive Theon for anything he did.
Because Theon's a little bitch.
Yeah, that's it. What he said.
So
little
if
bitch.
Theon had done it with a bit of swag and a joke about like a fucking one-handed Kingsguard, everything would be fine.
Yes. Yeah, you get major points for charisma on Game of Roblox. Major points. Did you notice as well, this is one thing I saw online, Cersei, do you remember she had that little brief pause at the door before she's like, come on then, get your coat, love, you pulled. She had that brief pause. I think she was thinking about, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm up to duff, like, I need to find, like, a dad that I can claim this as a part of. And then of course Euron comes in and he's like, I'm going to put a prince in your belly. She already has one. Another cool little note as well, that when she was drinking, of course we saw her not drink last season. That's how Tyrion figured out she was pregnant. She stopped drinking then when Euron left the room. She just kind of lifted it up and then kind of checked if he was gone and then put the drink down again. Like, so I think that might be why she gave in rather than just Euron being so charming.
Are we also sure though she was pregnant before that?
See, this is the thing.
What if she just said that to Jaime to keep him on side, and then Jaime's gone, Jaime's disappeared, so she rides Euron, so she gets pregnant, and she can claim it's Jaime's then to keep him on side.
Yeah.
Because really the kids was what tied them together a lot, and now all the kids are gone.
Cersei's better than that though. Like, Cersei's not a little fucking howie and ma who's like, you're the dad, and then you're the dad. Just playing two dads.
She is, like...
Just double child maintenance, like, Jesus, Cersei, you're better than that. Come on now, cop on. I'm not saying she's a good person, I'm just saying, like, anything else we didn't like from the episode?
I don't think so.
You loved every bit of it.
Didn't like the lack of Ghost.
Yes.
I miss Ghost.
Yes.
Like, they're making a big deal of Dany and her dragons, but I mean, Jon loves that dog. Where is he? Well, Wolf.
Jon, shiphead owner, right? Good guy. Great warrior, shiphead owner. Like, again, he's just a fucking 7-year-old who's like, where's the action? What can I do that's going to be cool? I'm going to jump on this dragon. Feed your dog. Feed your fucking dog. Yeah. Say hello to your fucking dog.
Put him on the dragon too. Imagine that.
Oh, that'd be so cool. A whole new world. That'd be interesting. Like, yeah. What a shiphead owner though. Like, even last season, like, just ignores him. He's like, oh, I'm going off to see a Targaryen. Rah. And then it's like, bring Ghost. He needs a walk. Why did you bring a Ghost? Like, stop leaving your dog with people. Like, he's not... Jon, imagine you're mates with Jon, though. You're just like, here, do you mind Winterfell? No, mate, going off. I'm gonna try, like, getting a fight with a dragon. And then it's like, Jon, like, we've been feeding Ghost for 6 months. Yeah, I have to go over here for a second.
But, like, Ghost is real good at helping in battles. That's what I don't get. Like, remember the whole thing outside the tower when Bran and all were hiding up there? Jon and the wildlings down at the bottom of the tower. And, like, Ghost is, like, fighting his side, like, gnawing people off. He gets on a horse and rides away. leaves ghosts at the house. No, I don't like that.
He's not a good pet owner, I have to say. This is true. And you didn't go on?
When it comes down to the Night King and all the, I wonder will there be a scene where Ghost comes in to defend Jon and ends up getting...
No, he'll be fine.
I can see that happening.
No, he'll be fine. The dogs will all be fine. Trust me.
I could see that to get people. Oh God, I think I can see that happening.
And we've seen
the dogs used.
Yeah, and whites can kill. They killed Summer for when Bran was in the cave. So like they're not white proof as well. There's also the possibility of for any book readers out there, they'll know that there's a storyline in it where Nymeria, and they've kind of touched on this in the show, where Nymeria, Arya's dog, is the leader of a pack of wild direwolves that are like building up, and all you do is you hear other characters talk about the pack of direwolves that are like assembling and like causing havoc throughout Westeros. And then when we saw Nymeria with Arya in the last series, we saw that she seemed to be leading a pack of dogs.
I thought that was actually one of my moments that I thought for saddest, because like that for me was like when Arya and she was like, it's not you, and it was kind of like she's not the same person anymore either. Or am I just reading into that way too much?
No, they are. Arya was the exact same, where it's like she was expected to do this, and Arya was like, come with me, but Nymeria was going her own path. So yeah, there was definite parallels there, like she's Arya's dog, but it'd be interesting if Nymeria and the rest of the pack of dogs came into the Battle of Winterfell somehow, or in some way. Like, I'd be up for seeing that. Anything you didn't like, Cian?
This is not even something I didn't like, just something that dawned on me, right? Do you remember the Vale? Do you remember it was like, was it Catelyn's sister owned that place? And then she was killed, yeah? So then Littlefinger basically ran it. But it was owned by like her son, who was like the 10-year-old that fucking breastfed. Remember that lad?
Robin.
Yeah. So he basically was like, the king there, but like, it was basically being run by Littlefinger. Yeah. But Littlefinger is dead now as well. So is he running that place on his own there or what? Like, I really am so curious to see how he's getting on, like.
Like, they seem to be putting a lot of houses in the kids' hands, which is a great thing. Like, well, not for the Umbers. But, like, Lyanna Mormont's running her house. The Umber kid was running his. Like, Sansa in the show is, what, 18?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much a kid running her house. Arya helping her. She's like 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think this kid is doing well? I think he's gonna like this. Like when the dead take over, what's he gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see this shit. Like,
I like how you watch Game of Thrones in the same way you watch wrestling and everything else. You're like, but what about the Vale? What about that kid? It's like the Night King is coming. It doesn't matter.
What would you do if the Battle of Winterfell was happening and it looks like everything is lost? Another way the Knights of the Vale rode into the Battle of the Bastards. What would you do if he rode in and he was fucking deadly? Like, he'd spent all this time learning how to shoot and all. Like, he sat on the Iron Throne. You'd be so fucking disappointed.
It'd be funnier if he rode in. It's like, who's that? And it's Robin backwards on a horse. Like, the whites just instantly take him out. Like, well, that makes sense. He's just freaking out. He didn't even mean to ride in. He just got lost. Went into the wrong place. So in terms of like anything that you picked up on, guys, any kind of Easter eggs that you picked up on in the episodes that you appreciate, any little things apart from where's Robin?
I copped one thing afterwards on Instagram because I follow Rob McElhenney on Instagram, who is Mac from It's Always Sunny, and he was in the episode. Amazing. He's one of Euron's men who gets shot in the eye. Yeah. And then I was reading, and apparently the writers of Game of Thrones wrote some of the Sunny episodes, and this was a return.
Yes,
so they wrote Flowers for Charlie.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a gas crossover.
That's amazing. Yeah. Any Easter eggs you picked up? I want to know your Easter eggs, because like you don't even know if they're Easter eggs or not.
It's probably like Jamie only has one hand. I don't know if anyone else noticed.
I don't know if they cause an alarm or anything.
I think I just mentioned it already, how like
Robin.
Sam's family were killed. That literally blew me away. Like.
That's, you're supposed to know that. That's
not. I know now, like. That's it. Like I don't really. I can't pick up on anything.
Even you picked up on any nice Easter eggs?
It was mostly the stuff at the start, the way how it was all like the first episode, and it just made you think straight back to what it used to be like, without saying it. I just thought it was really clever and really well done.
Yeah, there's a few like I picked up on and I read online as well. Let's talk about how good the opening credits were, by the way. Oh my god. Like, here's one for you as well. I don't know if you noticed it. Right? Watch out for it next week. The opening credits tell you where the Night King currently is.
With the ice.
It goes blue, yeah. So next week, I presume he's going to be coming right up close to Winterfell.
Oh, shit.
It's fucking class. It's like a little video game as well. Like, love the opening credits.
That's what you notice. The Umber boy was sent, and his place is in the north, like just at the top of, like up north.
Yeah.
His fast or his house, whatever, is up north. So you can. That's where they are now. Is where he went back to get his armies or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were there.
I actually have a question, right?
Okay.
So, this is kind of unrelated, but you know that family that wouldn't fight for the Starks? There was like a family up north.
The Glovers.
Yeah, who are they?
They, do you remember? Okay, this is a big ask. Do you remember the Battle of the Bastards?
Yeah.
Do you remember Jon is looking to build an army?
Yeah.
Do you remember he goes to Lyanna Mormont, who's the little kid, the 10-year-old, right?
Yeah,
She says, yeah. Then he goes to another family, a bald guy, who's like, we fought for you before, and Rob betrayed us, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not going to fight for you.
I actually remember that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Glovers.
But
so, and then in the last episode of that series, when Jon was crowned King of the North, the Glovers came out and they were like, "We will fight for you for 1,000 years." And then,
and he lied, like
2 months later, it's like about that, about that. Look, that was metaphorical, but that's who the Glovers are.
mad.
Another one as well. Jon Snow. Think about this. This is going to blow your minds. Jon Snow died in the Winterfell crypts because he found out he was Aegon Targaryen. Okay, I thought that'd get a better reaction.
What's the story with the crypts then?
The crypts are like that's where all the dead bodies are kept.
Ah. I just thought there was more.
That's in life, just not Game of Thrones. That's what a crypt is.
Yeah.
Why? Because people always mention the crypts, so I was like, I'm assuming there's like
a cool hangout spot.
Yeah, I thought it was a very relevant thing or something. Just where people.
Did you get Wi-Fi in there? What's the story?
I guess it's where people died. Then okay. Cool.
That's where they buried them. It's like a graveyard.
Ah, right.
But it's also very significant. There's a lot of history in the crypts. I think I'm going to hurt your head if I get too deep into it.
Because you said that at the next episode, Jon and Daenerys are going to have like a big like crypt scene or something.
Yeah, and who's buried in the crypts? Ned, and also Jon's real mother, Lyanna. She's got a statue in the crypts, and we've spent time there. You might remember Littlefinger having a chat with Sansa there and explaining. You probably weren't listening to what he was explaining, but he explained actually the history between Rhaegar and Lyanna, and said that they ran off together. Rhaegar is Jon's dad, and they made a Jon. He was getting angry.
I don't understand how you can be a casual Game of Thrones fan. It's not, like you can't just tune in every few episodes. You either are all in on it, or else you like. If you're like Lee, like hates it. He's like, I hate all the swords and the horses and all that kind of fighting stuff. But like, you either watch it or you don't. I don't understand this. Like,
my eyes watch it, right? So like physically, I've seen all of it, but my brain is like on and off. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's just bizarre to me. I do not understand how you can not get emotionally invested in this.
This is why I just stick to wrestling. Like, it's just easier.
But The Walking Dead, like every week, it's like, oh man, fucking
yeah, actually, that's mad. I don't know what happened again.
I think you've just got ADHD. I think it's like you need constant stimulation to continue paying attention, or your brain just switches off. There's the crossbow the Qyburn gave to Bronn. Has a lot of history. Yeah, a lot of people know this as well. It's not too much of a surprise. Joffrey killed Ros, the whore from Winterfell, with the same crossbow. Tyrion killed Tywin with the same crossbow. Of course, you remember how did the Red Wedding happen? How did Robb die? With a crossbow. And also as well, Qyburn, what is his big solution for the dragons? A big fuck-off crossbow. So, like, every house is kind of its sigil, and it has, like, standard weapons and stuff like that. Like, Targaryens have dragons and so on, and but the crossbow, actually, it's only here that they kind of confirmed that this is a Lannister thing as well. Another little thing I loved. Did anyone notice the Targaryen music playing while they were doing A Whole New World? I would have liked if they did A Whole New World. I would have liked if I can show you the world. I would have went into that.
You were thinking Aladdin. I was thinking that scene in Harry Potter where you're
yes, book me. Yes, yeah. But they played the traditional Targaryen music, which is like, I'm not going to sing. But I like that because I was like, oh yeah, Jon Targaryen. Like, because I know it, but it hasn't clicked with me yet. Do you know what I mean? When, like, even when Sam's like, you're Aegon Targaryen, and Jon's looking at him. I'm kind of like Jon in that moment where I'm like, oh yeah, he is. I'm still not, like, I know it logically and I can talk about it, but then when I have to think about it, I needed that to get the wheels turning for me. Did you notice as well, do you remember Bronn is in the whorehouse and talking to the whores, and they're just kind of gossiping about everything that's going on, and they talked about how Eddie the Ginger had his eyelashes burnt off. That's Ed Sheeran they're talking about.
Oh, man.
I didn't cop that. I read that online. I can't take credit, but I love the way they're just like giving us an update on Ed Sheeran, and because he was so hated, it's a bad update. It's like he's fucked. Also love the idea of Ed Sheeran like being a fiend for the whores, because let's call a spade. If it's like that time, middle ages, you know, the way he looks, his singing isn't going to get him far. He's going to be using a lot of whores, is all I'm saying. Like, he's not the best looking dude, but he does alright with his singing. Anyway, guys, we are talking about this week's episode, but also, and we're delighted to have Game of Thrones back, but also, like, we're saying goodbye to Game of Thrones. It's over in, like, what is it, 34 days, 33 days? It's all over. Like, so we are saying goodbye to it. We want to mourn and we want to look back at some of our favourite moments from the series in general. So every week on our Slow Blows, we're going to take a different topic and we're going to discuss it. And this week for me, when I was thinking about the defining kind of theme that stayed with me, it was Sam's face, like just his heartbreaking at the news that his family fell apart, and it just instantly depressed me and nearly made me go full Sam there. So I got thinking about what are the saddest moments that you guys can think of in Game of Thrones history. We'll start with you, Aoife. What do you think? Saddest moment for you?
I'm going to go with one that's not real, like, obvious.
Okay.
So, like, I'm not going to say
I like it.
Obvious ones, but the ones that made me, like, really, like, that got me was after Ned's death, and it cuts. You're kind of instantly thinking, "Oh my God, what's going to happen when Rob finds out or whatever?" And the scene just opens with like Kat walking through all the men, and they're all kind of like, "My lady," and it goes, and she walks into the forest, and Rob is just there, and he's just like beating the shit out of a tree with his sword, and she's like, "Rob, your sword!" And like he's just like, "I'm going to kill them all," and she's like, "They have your sisters," and he's like crying, and I was like, "Oh." That really got me.
That's a very good choice because it's just fucking real. It's not like it's like how someone would act in that situation. Not that, like, you know, everyone who's had a death in the family goes out and starts swinging a sword at a tree. Like, I'm not saying that's an normal thing, but it was just kind of that fucked up, like, need to express it, and you're just like, it made it fucking real in a way that Ned's death, when Ned died, and the head, like, you weren't sure. You're like, they couldn't have done it. They could not have done that. Like,
yeah, that got me. That got me bad.
But then when Rob is doing that, you're like, yeah, this happened. Ned's dead. Like, he's gone. Like, yeah, it was seriously fucked up. Oh, this is already kind of depressing me, and that's the first story. Katey, your saddest moment.
I miss Rob so much.
I should have brought tissues, for God's sake.
No, I don't miss Ramsay. I just miss Rob. My moment, it's kind of one of the bigger ones, but like Shireen getting burned to death on the stake, Stannis' daughter. That was one of the episodes, the Red Wedding and that episode were the two episodes where I had to stop for a few days afterwards because I was just so upset watching it. But this got me more because, like, after Ned's death, we're conditioned to think that anyone can die and horrible things can happen. So, like, while she was getting tied to the stake and stuff, I was still thinking, like, they're not going to do it, but deep down I know, no, they're going to burn her, like, it's all leading up to this. But what killed me is when the mother snapped out of the trance and started screaming, and they were holding her back, and just, like, you can see, like, everyone in the crowd getting really uncomfortable, and then her crying, it was too much. And then the next day when, like, they discover, like, half the men have left camp, and it's just like, yeah, because what you did was horrific. And all I can think of is, like, oh my God, poor Davos, like, because, you know, you're having the flashbacks of her teaching him to read and, like, being so kind. Like, she didn't have a life. No. Like, she got grayscale, she lived in a dungeon. Her family are fucking religious nut jobs who are just, like, willing to burn her at the stake. Like, oh, it's just so sad. And
we had that moment earlier in the season as well where her and Stannis had that connection where he's like, he tells her the story of how he cured her grayscale, and he's like, everyone said to just let you die, to do this, to do that, but that wasn't going to happen because you're a Baratheon, you're my daughter. And, like, that just like, you thought of that when and then you see Stannis as well, just steely, determined, like, look in his eyes where he's like, but you can tell his heart's breaking inside. It was a really powerful performance. And also, like, just, I don't know, it's one of those stages where it's like Game of Thrones went a bit too Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's it. I just remember watching it, and I was watching it with Phil, and I was like sobbing, and I was like, it's too far. They've gone too far. I can't watch this anymore. Like,
yeah,
I did take
Sansa with Ramsay, their wedding night. Those were two of the moments where it's like you've jumped the shark, you've gone too Thronesy. Like, yeah, I know it was horrible, but really well played by the actress as well, because she's just screaming and yelling for everyone, like, and it broke our hearts. Cian, your saddest moment?
Yeah, of two, right? So, like, no death in Game of Thrones really made me that sad because it's more kind of shocked than sad, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
Whereas,
that.
like, but the Hodor thing, I was proper, like, bawling after that. That just, like, I mean, I'm assuming if you're listening, you know what happened, like, where you, like...
Out the door!
Yeah.
Out the door!
I'm really bad at describing these things, but I'm hoping you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was really, really sad. The second thing was when I found out that, like, Sam's brother is called Dickon. They could have named that kid whatever the fuck they wanted. That dad had all the cool Game of Thrones names in the world, and he went with Dickon. Dickon! That kid probably got bullied so hard in primary school. That's tragic. And for me, that's arguably the saddest thing about Game of Thrones. So, yeah.
Real boy named Sue logic. It made him tougher in the real world when he got up. Like, Jesus. The best moment, though, is when it's like, Bronn gets introduced to him, and he's like, Dickon, and Bronn just goes,
that's what I mean, like.
Straight away. It was brilliant. For me, it's not necessarily just one moment, but it's more just like a period that kind of came to a head. Tyrion, after the Battle of Blackwater, and the storyline that ended up led him to his trial. Like, I remember Varys saying at one stage where it's like the history books won't remember you, but the people there will remember what you did, and how Tywin was just lorded out as like the hero of it all, like literally coming into the throne room on his horse, like just showing off, like, I won the battle for you, I am the hero of it all, when he was just there for the last 10 minutes. Like, technically, yeah, he did swing it, but it's not necessary. Like, Tyrion is what kept him in the game. The battle would have been lost if Tyrion hadn't been there. And then how everything just conspired against him, and it was just because his family wanted him dead. Like, they all knew that he didn't poison Joffrey. It made no sense that he would have poisoned Joffrey. Like, it would, like, why would he be standing there? Like, why would he, like, put himself in that situation where he'd be the prime suspect? Like, no one, there was no evidence, there was no motive, there was just... they just wanted him dead, and to have him go from being such a good, effective hand, where Tywin should have been proud of him, but his own kind of ego wouldn't allow him to be, to just take it down to a stage where he's in the dungeons, and Bronn's coming in, and he's like, I'm not going to defend you, and even his best mates are turning on him. That was depressing, because it's like, the reason that hit me is like, you look at, say, you know, Hodor's death, which was devastating. You know, I can't relate much to, like, a guy died because he was holding a door because a psychic guy was warging into him in the past, but is really the future because he needed to save it. I can't relate that much to it, but I'm really sad that Hodor's gone. I can't relate to parents, like, burning their kid at the stake because they need to make a sacrifice to win a war, you know, but it's devastating because I bonded with Shireen emotionally, you know, so I was sad to see that. You can relate to Tyrion there, where it's just like, he's the hero of it all. He's the guy to pull the strings, but someone else got the credit because people just decided, we're going to give them the credit. We're going to give Tywin the credit for this. Tywin's the real hero. You're not. You're weird. You make us uncomfortable. You're small. You look like a bit of a freak, so we're just going to say you're a monster and be done with it. That shit happens every single day. And that's fucking heartbreaking to watch, like, as we go along. And even, like, do you remember when he was in the cells and he's talking to Jaime at one stage and he just keeps talking, like, he gives a rambling kind of monologue about a cousin of his who used to kill beetles. And he's just like, clunk, clunk, clunk. And Jaime's even looking at it and he's like, why do you think he killed him? Why do you think he killed him? And Jaime's just looking at him going like, I don't know. And he kind of lost his mind, and it's like, this is just fucking depressing. And then Shay walks out. And it's just like they're taking everything from him. And what's he done? He said it himself. It's like, I've been on trial my life for being a dwarf. And that's it. Like, that's why he was on trial. And he hit the nail on the head. And it was that scene was fantastic, but how they broke him, that entire series just depressed the fuck out of me every time, because I'm like, he's great. He was such a good hand. And now he's a hand, and he's actually a bit shit, like, which is kind of awkward. Like, he's getting it wrong left, right, and centre. But I still remember Tyrion. Anyway, guys, we'll move on to happier subjects. By the way, Katey, on a better note, if you're missing your Robb Stark fix, he is now starring in Bodyguard.
I already have it lined up on Netflix to start tonight.
Sorry. There you go. Anyone else looking for more Robb Stark? I didn't even notice until I seen a clip of it. And then it's like, I'm like, I know that weird voice.
I don't know if I love Richard Madden or I love Robb Stark. I think I love Robb Stark.
Yeah.
I might just have to start the season again.
Just stop at season 8 and be like, and then they lived happily ever after. Guys, let's talk about next week and some of the theories we may have for next week and beyond. It looks like from the teaser we're going to get some kind of trial of Jaime, which makes sense. Like, it's going to be awkward. He killed Daenerys' dad, pushed Bran out the window. What else has he done to people? He's basically fucked over 90% of that room except for Tyrion. How do we see Jaime's trial going? How do we see? Do we see it just being like Tyrion comes to his aid, or how do we see him how do we see that whole arc play now?
Do you not think they should just put stuff like that on pause, considering the Night King is on the way? Like, you think they just say, look, we'll take this up in a few months, but like, you're a really good soldier, you're a really good commander, they've a lot of men going around, let's play to your strengths and then we'll talk about what you did afterwards. I think that's what they should do.
It does make the most of, but the Northerners are stubborn. They're stubborn, they're so stubborn. So they look like they're going to have him on trial.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, someone's going to come to his aid, or like, you know, when Tyrion was on trial, Jaime rescued him. So it's probably just going to be the flip side of that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, I hope he do. Like, I really care about Jaime. I was on Talk Nerdy to Me last week with Jerry talking about it, and I was like talking about in the battle where Dany rode in on her dragons and started just mincing the Lannister army, and like, that was the point I realised that I love Jaime, because I'm there, I'm like screaming, I'm like, kill her, don't kill Jaime, don't go near Jaime, every time. Like, I'm like, afterwards I'm like, never realised I felt that way.
But like, because the further apart from Cersei he gets, the more he develops his own conscience and his own like goodwill, and it becomes just a much better person who you want to root for. Like, I love Jaime. He's probably one of my favourite characters, and like, I still have to think back and be like, no, he pushed a kid out the window while riding his sister. But like, he's just come so far from that.
It's a complicated fellow.
No, I think that was an accident. I don't think he meant to push Bran out the window. I think it was like, he just tripped and he was like, whoa, and then he just fell.
He literally said, the things I do for love.
Yeah, but he's probably just like leaning against the wall, like, the things I do for love, and he probably thought of something else, and then he was like, oh shit, a kid, and then he just pushed him off. I think it was an accident. I think he's going to get away with it, personally. That's my prediction.
Cian can rationalise anything with a bit of charisma. How do you start that conversation that Jaime and Bran, I hope they literally start where the episode ended, and Jaime has to walk up like, hey there, buddy. How do you think that conversation's going to play out?
To be honest, I thought that was a little bit of an anticlimactic ending. I didn't find it that like, what are they going to say to each other?
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the trailer for the teaser, but I think if it starts off with a trial for Jaime, I'm going to be a bit like, that's a bit hypocritical. You literally went south and we're like, guys, I know we just walked into, we're all enemies here, but we have to put it all aside.
Yeah.
And if they start putting Jaime on trial for something he did like ages ago, that's not really relevant anymore.
Very true.
It's like, kind of disappointed. Like, is that the angle they're going to go with for the next episode? I don't really want to see that.
That's a really good point, because it's like, wait, Daenerys, you weren't mad about him killing your dad, like, in the last episode. You weren't mad about him, but now you're like, you killed my father. And it's like, yeah, like, we spoke about this. I'm doing the thing you asked.
Yeah.
Like, they're also going to find out, obviously, that Cersei has betrayed them. Well, you'd assume, because Jaime's there and he obviously has that information.
Well, Sansa knows.
Sansa, yeah, she's got a I like that as well, by the way, where Sansa's like, you believed her? And then, like, she's got a sus, because Tyrion, he reads people wrongly, and he believes, like, he trusts in people's a willingness to protect themselves. But we've seen him be wrong about that. Remember, he was like that with the Marine, kind of, the Masters, and he's like, I trust their self-interest, and it's like, no, they're going to, Grey Worm and all were like, no, they're going to fuck you over, like, and sure enough, they did try. So that's kind of his downfall, where Sansa's like, no, she's going to fuck you over. That's what she does. She's stupid. And that's Cersei's plan. Cersei's plans have a history of her thinking she's doing the best, but then self-harming. Cersei is indirectly responsible for all 3 of her children dying. They were all decisions she made. Like, Myrcella died because Oberyn died because Cersei pursued a trial with Tyrion. And that directly led to Myrcella's death. Tommen as well, of course. She literally blew up the...
You hate Cersei so much when you just love to go up and bet. You literally made your son hate his life so much he killed himself.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say that to
you. Just want to grab her and shake her. So yeah, there's that too. Dany as well. It looks like Dany and Jon are going to have the awkward conversation. How do you think that's going to go?
I don't know, but that's what the way I want it to go. That's what I want the main storyline to be. I don't want to see a trial for Jaime. I don't want to see anything else, really. I want that to be the main thing, like, because Jon is the one that's like always known what's right, and then Dany is the one that's always tried to do the right thing. Like, even when you go back with the when she was freeing all the slaves and they were coming in with their problems and she was like, approach, and this guy comes up and he puts his thing and he's like, the dragon came from the sky, and he's like, my little girl, and like the 3-year-old got roasted by her dragon, and then you had the slaves who like wanted to be slaves and she wasn't letting them, and like she always struggled, she didn't know what the right decision was. So that's the way I want to see it.
Do you think
she's power hungry, whereas Jon can always know what's right and wrong, when you go back to the Theon thing, what he's saying to him.
Do you think that they'll amp up the conflict between them, or the tension between them, or do you think they're going to be like, hey, these crypts are looking pretty good, it's pretty quiet, no one's going to come in here for a while? Like, how do you think that's going to go? Do you think we could see some crypt incest? That's going to be weird.
I think Jon is definitely going to go out in this season with like some sort of self-sacrifice. Like, that's got to be his thing, 'cause he's always known what's right. He just wants people to survive. And then Dany's always wanted the throne. So I don't know, is there going to be some big revelation where she realises that like the survival of everyone is more important?
Yeah.
Or is she going to go out with the self-sacrificing way?
Ooh.
It's her like her kind of own little redemption arc where she realises that power was never important and this is more important, and she like sacrifices it and never ends up on the throne. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, a lot to think about. Cian, how do you see it playing out? Jon is the one. No. There's no term.
The next episode.
So Dany's just gonna find out she's his auntie.
How does that even?
And not in like a sexy daddy kind of way, like not like that. Literally his aunt.
This whole thing confuses me. How is she his auntie?
Her brother is Jon's father. It seems how regular aunties and nephews work.
Alright, my prediction. I love bold predictions, because then, like, you feel great that when it happens, right? I think that Jon is going to unmask, and it turns out that he's been the faceless man this whole time, and that remember her brother, the lad who got like melted to bits in the first season?
Viserys.
He comes back, and it turns out that he was alive the whole time.
Cian, you can get your things and go home.
Katey, I want to talk to you about the Night King, because you've been working on a theory all week. So is it ready? Is it there? Is it boiled?
It's coming in bits and pieces, but like I think the Night King is Rhaegar Targaryen.
Okay.
Right, and there's a few clues in my head. Like the symbol the Night King keeps leaving looks very like a Targaryen symbol. Only Targaryens can ride dragons. He can ride the ice dragon.
Yes.
And you say like the dragons have riders for life, like so like that's his dragon now. He owns that dragon. Yeah. He can ride it. He's a Targaryen. And like the big question for me is like, why is now the time the Night King is rising? Like when did he become the Night King? You know, why is it now that he's marching down south? Is it because his army finally got big enough, or has something happened like his son has come of age? Maybe he's not coming down to destroy all of Westeros. Maybe he's coming down to get Dany and Jon back, his family, and go get the Iron Throne back for his fucking ice family.
Okay, there is a lot to think about there. There's one...
I can't wait for you to debunk everything now.
And really quickly.
Oh, really?
There's
Shit.
one flaw.
What?
We've seen the Night King as a man before.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, but I thought that was just like a reimagining. I thought the whole thing was that the Night King was someone.
Yeah, but Rhaegar wouldn't have been around then. That was like 1,000 years ago.
Oh, shit, was it?
Yeah.
So the Night King is 1,000 years old?
Yeah. Like The Long Night, which is going to be the prequel for Game of Thrones, that's when the Night King first came.
Okay, that ruins everything, because in my head, like, I had it all locked down. Rhaegar died in the north, at the Battle of Trident. They could have just, revived him. Maybe he was coming back to raise Lyanna from the crypt, and he'd have his whole family back together, and he'd just fucking head south and take the throne. Wasn't Cersei his, like, betrothed before?
Yes.
Illyria
right.
and stuff, like,
Yeah.
it all fitted in, but thanks for the
I feel like I just deflated you. I'm so sorry.
I've been really excited about this theory all week.
It's just like, if I don't say it, people will be shouting it as they're listening, so I felt like I had
I thought that was the Children of the Forest making White Walkers, not the Night King.
No, they said, yeah.
But I thought they created White Walkers to fight someone.
They could have. No, okay, like, because I do get what you're saying about the Targaryen. Like, there is a lot lining up. The Targaryen riding a dragon as well that feels important too, because it is something that the directors, like Weiss and Benioff, specifically said.
Also, that was a gas image of him riding a dragon. I don't know why I laughed so hard at the
Oh,
Night King
CGI.
riding a dragon.
Yeah, he looks so small on it as well. It's like,
you see him as his big threatening presence, and then like on the back of a CGI dragon.
It's like a video game. It's like Crash Bandicoot or something.
Yeah.
It's like a villain in that. I was like, what the hell's going on? Have we heard the theory about what the Night King's plan might be in the war and how he might look to win the war? All right, this is a very good one. This is not me. This went everywhere today. It was on Joe.e and all. It was on it's a Reddit theory, but it's very good, and it's the kind of thing we could see happening. Okay, so the theory is, what if the Night King leaves his dragon, like, doesn't bring his dragon to the Battle of Winterfell? He's like, no, I'm outnumbered, 2 versus 1. I'm after getting this dragon now, and I'm just going and fight 2 dragons. They're probably going to win. There's no point in doing that. What I'll do is I'll let the army of the dead attack. If they take Winterfell, they take Winterfell. If they don't, it doesn't matter, because the Night King is going somewhere else with his dragon. The Night King, what if he goes to King's Landing? By himself, he only needs to burn the Red Keep down. And then, what happens is, say the living beat the army of the dead in the Battle of Winterfell, there's a new army of the dead, because the Night King killed everyone and raised them up in Winterfell, or in King's Landing. And that's also a way that you can get it, because the problem is as well, it's like, how's Cersei going to die? I don't think Cersei dies in this. I think Cersei somehow gets away, like, she realizes something's up and she just gets the fuck out of there. So you're like, how are they going to get Cersei on her own? There's no way, like, even if, say they win, or, like, whatever happens, like, if they win the Battle of Winterfell and then they defeat the Night King, they still have to get through 20,000 soldiers in the Golden Company and whatnot. Like, there's still no direct line to Cersei. What if Cersei is left on her own and she has to, like, come with her tail between her legs down to Winterfell or meet them on the King's Road, and then that's how she can be taken out? But then there's the big battle, which is versus the Night King. Then you've got dragons, you've got an army. They keep talking about how... do you notice that they keep talking about the population of King's Landing? The start of the last episode of Season 7 was Jon talking to Tyrion. He's like, how many people live there? 1 million. That's
fuck.
1 million. 1 million. That's 1 million potential soldiers, including the Golden Company.
Who?
Oh, we could have got...
They were the lads on the gold boats.
They're Cersei's army. They don't have elephants.
Harry
okay.
Strickland, a very ordinary name for Game of Thrones.
Like. Very One Direction, like. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the theory making the rounds. Why it's getting popular is because if you remember a couple of the visions, do you remember Bran's vision when he first became the Three-Eyed Raven, and he at one stage just saw a flash of a dragon flying over the throne room, but the throne room was in bits?
Oh, fuck.
We all thought that would have been Dany's dragon, but how does that make sense? How does that work out? Like, why would she destroy the throne room that she's looking to sit on? Also, do you remember Dany in the House of the Undying when she had her vision? And she walked through a throne room, again destroyed with snow coming in? We literally just saw Valkyrie's mind blown right there. That could be how that happens.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It's one way that all of this could play out.
And you know what? They did ask Dany, like, she was like, I could just take my dragons, fly down to King's Landing and burn everyone. And they were like, no, that's not the right way to do things. The Night King doesn't give a fuck what the right way to do is.
It's just a 1 million strong army for him. And he doesn't need the rest of the army. Kill off the rest of them. I've got a dragon and 1 million whites. Like, he's got to feel confident with that. But then Dany and Jon have 2 dragons.
You solved it a week in.
I didn't. Reddit solved it. Reddit.
I would be really disappointed if something like Katie's theory was true, though. Like, really disappointed. Because I love the whole thing that's like, the whole theme of it is like, all these families have been feuding for the whole 6 seasons and we've been so invested, and now it's like, we have to put all that aside because something above all of this is coming to kill us all.
Yeah.
And like, the whole thing, it's like, these are going to wipe us out if we don't just throw all that aside.
Yeah.
So if the Night King, like, reason, or like, his driving force, his reason for doing all this is tied into all the family stuff, it's just going to be really annoying.
Yeah.
If it's all tied into that, it's like, oh, he's actually just another player in the throne. No, it has to be above that. It has to be he's just coming for destruction. He's just coming to kill everyone. That's what it has to be. If it ties into the family stuff, I don't like that.
A lot of people say that, like, they want to get, like, kind of a motivation for the Night King. They want to learn about him. They want him to be more than just King Zombie looking to kill everyone. You're happy without it. You specifically don't want that.
I think that's what's making him so threatening.
Yeah.
And so, like, investing is that, like, they just want murder. They just want to kill everyone. Whereas everyone else is like, I want to be on the throne. I want to, like, do this for my family or whatever. That's the thing that's investing about that. They don't care. They're just cold-blooded killing people.
This is true. If you have a motivation, you have a weakness, because people can get at you by taking away your motivation. If your motivation is just total utter destruction,
just kill everything.
Yeah, that's an easy enough task. Like,
that's why I really like that.
Yeah.
But Katie's question that got me was like, why now? Why now? Was he waiting for winter to come, or is that like I don't know why now?
I think the long night happened. See, we don't know, and I imagine we're not even going to get the answers because we have the prequel season. So I think they're going to leave a lot of that stuff off, a lot of the mythology about the Night King and whatnot, off until the prequel. But the long night happened, like, you hear them talk about it in the show, but that was when, that's when the prince that was promised came up and saved the day and whatnot. But that happened like 1,000 years ago, and that was during the longest winter known to mankind, where, like, they didn't see sunlight, like it was the long night. So maybe it is a winter thing. Maybe he's just like, I'm kind of into... Well, he's also ice as well, so I think. Like ice and fire, I think. I'm not 100% sure, actually. I need to know. Guys, tweet us in. Like, yeah, why winter? Actually, I don't have a good answer to that. I feel like I should. Cian, why winter?
Because it's cold. Joe was thinking, how mad it'd be if, like, Cersei just, like, died of non-conflict cause, like she just had a heart attack or something in like episode 2. After all that, like, she's done. And I was mad.
That was another funny thing of Katie when she was watching Game of Thrones. Actually, we were watching. It was me, Katie, and Phil, and like it was the scenes where with Viserys. Viserys is still alive, and like the scene where she, the next time you lay a hand on me will be the last time you have hands or whatever. Katie just watching and she just goes, why are all the girls wearing like less clothes? Are they just, like, is it hot there? Like she just she like the whole thing she'd picked up for the season was like that it was hot there. And, like, it switched to like the a scene of the wall, and Phil just goes, cold here, Katie.
Katie, you're such a mom. You're like, someone tell her to put on a jacket.
I was really concerned that when winter was coming, everyone would just be really cold because they wouldn't have enough clothing. Like,
imagine that was the story. They just come down with a horrible flu. You're all bedridden.
Like when they went beyond the wall the last season, I was like, oh Jesus, would they not wear a hat, the ones that aren't used to it?
Oh God. So any more any theories you see coming to pass? Any theories you're working on? Cian?
No. I wasn't ready for that question.
This is why I put you on the spot. So anything else we want to see and we don't want to see next week?
I really want to see, I'm very invested in the Mormonts, the lovely Anna Mormont. Jorah Mormont is my bae. But, like, what's going to happen when they interact? Because, like, he's like the exiled, like Lord of Bear Island, and she's like this mouthy 10-year-old who's running the show and doing a great job of it. Like,
she is.
And, like, he left on such bad terms. So I'm just really curious how, like, characters are going to interact in the background, like the smaller characters.
Yeah.
I'm also really curious to find out how he's going to react to Dany and Jon, and if she is pregnant, because, like, he's still mad about her.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really awkward because, like, he loves her so much, but, like, at this stage, I think he could turn into a dragon and she still wouldn't ride him. Like, it's just
just the principle now at this stage.
But it's just like, I had this theory that he was going to kill her by the end of it.
Right.
Like, it would just get too much for him because, like, he's been so devoted to her for so long. Like, will he snap? Like, and Jon could be the catalyst for that, or will he just, like, sacrifice himself for her by the end of it?
I think, he's going to grow.
They've mentioned a few times in the last few seasons how many men have fallen in love with her. Like, who follow her now, and like, I don't know, I think that's going to come into play just because they've mentioned it so many times between him, Dario, Jon. There was another one as well, wasn't there? Who's apparently in love with her?
Drogo was.
Oh, Drogo, yeah.
That was reciprocated. Poor Jorah. You have to feel bad for Lord Friendzone.
You had that in the end of season 7 as well, when she was like, Jon was like, I need you to come to King's Landing with me, and Jorah was like, no, one arrow from someone on the road to King's Landing, some unsung hero, and that's you ended. And then it's kind of like Jon on one side of the table, Jorah on the other, and she just goes, I'm gonna go to King's Landing. It's just there, like, all right.
Okay, let's go. So before we wrap up, we have one more final bit of business, because on Low Blows, we're going to kind of transport a segment from Low Blows, because we usually have one of our favourite segments weekly is Harvey's Hot Take. We're not going to have a hot take this week, Rich, because it's been a show of hot takes, boiling hot takes, and thank you so much. But when we started this show, Katie's one request is, can we talk about who's hot? So instead of Harvey's Hot Take, we're going to have the very first edition of Harvey's Hotties. And who did you think was hottest this week?
I've kind of wasted it because it was Jorah.
The short hair, was it?
Sure, and his lovely winter coat, and just like looking all handsome and regal. And like, he's just a lovely person. He's in love with her, and I just want him to be happy, and I don't think he's going to be happy.
I love how coats came into it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him, so warm. That's a man thinking about the temperature. He can think about my temperature. It's a weird thing to find attractive.
He went beyond the wall, and I did say to Phil, he looks great in a coat, doesn't he? And I was like, what? And I was like, he's dressed for the weather, like he's a strong northerner at the end of the day. You forget that because he was in the sun for so long. Also, he's got no grayscale now, so that's what's brought him up the hottie meter again, just the lack of scales.
Fair enough.
What if my king gets grayscale and just dies?
There's King's theory. I don't know. I think he's fairly safe. Okay. I think he's good from that. Guys, had a lot of fun chatting with you. Just can't wait to chat more. Thank you so much, Valkyrie, for joining us. Hope to have you back. Maybe we'll have you back on before the end of the series. So a lot of good theories from you. So I'd love to check in with you and see how you're enjoying it as we go along. Thank you so much. Any bookings coming up? You're busy.
Yeah, I'm going to Germany on the 1st of May.
Ooh, nice.
So got 6 weeks at WXW.
Oh, unreal.
And hoping to pick up a few shows over there as well.
That's class. Oh, congratulations. Jesus. So, yeah, Valkyrie, you can see her wrestle everywhere soon enough. But Germany for now. So thank you so much. And you're on Contenders this week as well. Yeah, so check that out. The match is you and CT Flexer against, who am I forgetting? I'm blanking here.
Martina and Sugar Dunkerton.
It is. It's a tough name to say. Thank you so much for joining us on the first edition of Game of Low Blows. Katey, how's the recovery going?
Oh my God, have I been sitting next to Valkyrie for the last 2 hours? Oh shit. Sorry, what was your question?
How's the recovery going?
It's going really well. My arms are nearly straight on one side, which is really good.
There you go. That's what you want.
Can hold my own microphone, so that's always a plus.
We had the Next Gen show. We're going to talk about that in our slow blows. But you had a big announcement about Fight Factory upcoming dates as well. We announced it last week, but just in case anyone missed it.
Yeah, we have May 31st and we have June 21st, and across the 2 days we're going to have an 8-man tournament for a shot at the junior heavyweight title and Big Arse Trophy, the Paul Bean Memorial Trophy. So the 8 people are going to be announced really soon, and tickets should be on sale the 1st of May, I think.
Okay, excellent. So there you go, eventbrite.ie for all that as well. And guys, as well, like, get tickets on Eventbrite beforehand. Let us know you're coming, because the more we know who's coming, the more like we can plan and add to the show and stuff like that.
Maybe even get like air fans or something, you know. If we have enough tickets sold beforehand, might be able to ventilate that building.
We'll crack a window at the very least, don't worry guys. Cian, you're still busy with college, so the YouTube kind of taking a back seat, so recommend maybe I'm putting you on the spot here and this always ends badly, but maybe a classic video from the Corporate Cian archives that people can specifically look for if they want to kind of get into more of your stuff and subscribe.
I don't know, but this Friday is Phoenix Wrestling. So,
yeah, there we go.
It's in the Keynote, Cork City. Go to it. Just go. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. There you go. Check that out. We'll retweet that on the Low Blows Twitter. Anyway, guys, until next week, on the Low Blows Network this week, we have the return of Paddy's New Yacht, breaking down Tiger Woods Masters win and a huge week in sport. Obviously, the Champions League quarterfinals and whatnot. Try not to talk too much about the United game. We have the one with the podcast, a bit of a downbeat episode, but I related hard when they were talking about Alan and like I'm watching Alan Partridge as they go through, and they're talking. Alan has like a day where he's lonely and no one wants to hang out with him, and as wrestling fans we'll all be able to relate hard to it. It gets a bit down me, but you'll feel better hearing the lads talk about it. And also we will have Ask Low Blows returning this Friday. If you're missing the wrestling content, it is all migrating to there. But until next week, once again, thank you Valkyrie for joining us. For Katey, Harvey, for Corporate Cian, I've been Rick Nash, and until next week, our watch is ended.